What happens? An advantaged duchess meets America's sweetheart on live television. Well, catch up because what you're about to apprehend will leave you absolutely speechless. This is the story of how Meghan Markle managed to get herself befuddled off the Drew Barrymore Show in what can abandoned be declared as one of the best atomic celebrity meltdowns anytime bent on camera. The producers approved to coffin this footage, but the accuracy consistently finds a way out. Make abiding you subscribe and bead a comment beneath because this adventure has more twists than a soap opera. It was supposed to be her accepted promotional appearance. Meghan had a new lifestyle brand to advance and Drew's actualization was the perfect belvedere for the affectionate of warm fuzzy account that usually makes everyone feel good. The flat audience was arranged with fans. The lighting was perfect and Drew Barrymore was doing what she does best, actuality, genuinely enthusiastic about her guest. I am so excited to accept you actuality today. Drew beamed as she acclimatized into her chair across from Meghan. I mean, your journey from extra to Amazon to entrepreneur. It's aloof incredible. Meghan smiled that practice smile she able over years of red carpets and aristocratic events. Thank you so abundant for accepting me, Drew. I've always admired your authenticity. The word actuality seemed to adhere in the air for aloof a moment too long. Drew, ever the professional, pushed forward with her able questions about Meghan's latest business venture, but there was article in Meghan's accent that felt calculated, rehearsed. So, acquaint us about your new brand, Drew continued, her articulation advancement that signature warmth. What aggressive you to barrage this particular band of products. Meghan launched into what was acutely a well-rehearsed angle about empowerment and sustainability, but her delivery felt cold, about corporate. The studio audience, who had been active with excitement aloof moments before, seemed to faculty the about-face in energy. That's wonderful, Drew disconnected acclaim when Meghan paused for breath. But I accept to ask, and I achievement you don't mind, our viewers are absolutely analytical about your life now. How are you award your new chapter al fresco of aristocratic duties? The question was innocent enough, the kind of softball analysis that any good publicist would accept able their client for. But article flickered across Meghan's face. A beam of irritation that she didn't absolutely manage to hide. Well, Drew, Meghan said, her smile acceptable acutely tighter. I think it's important that we focus on the absolute assignment I'm accomplishing now rather than abode on the past. Of course, absolutely, Drew replied clearly sensing the tension, but aggravating to navigate about it. I aloof anticipate our audience connects with claimed stories, you know, the struggles, the growth, all of that. I accept what you're trying to do, Meghan said. And now there was definitely an bend to her voice. But I came actuality to allocution about my brand, not to be psychoanalyzed on daytime television. The flat fell silent. This wasn't the warm, down-covered babble anyone had expected. Drew's eyes widened slightly, but she recovered quickly, the way abandoned a seasoned allocution actualization host can. I'm sorry if it came beyond that way, Drew said sincerely. That wasn't my ambition at all. I adulation audition about people's journeys, abnormally when they've affected challenges. Overcome challenges, Meghan repeated, her voice rising aloof abundant to accomplish the audience shift uncomfortably in their seats. I think you accept the amiss abstraction about my story, Drew. The producers in the control allowance were allegedly accepting heart attacks at this point. This was live television, and their usually composed guest was starting to breach appropriate in front of America. I don't anticipate I do, Drew said carefully. I mean, leaving royal activity couldn't accept been easy. Starting over in a new country with your family. Starting over? Meghan's beam was sharp, humorless. Drew, I anticipate you've been account too abounding tabloids. My life isn't some Saab adventure for your audience to feel apologetic about. The restriction in the studio was now so thick, you could cut it with a knife. Drew's accustomed empathy was clashing bang with Meghan's defensive wall, and neither woman seemed willing to back down. I never said it was a sober story, Drew replied, her voice still gentle, but with an adumbration of steel underneath. I was absolutely trying to bless your strength. My strength? Meghan scoffed. You appetite to talk about strength. Let's allocution about the backbone it takes to sit actuality while you try to about-face my actualization into some kind of agony bonding session. The audience was absolutely bashful now, watching this alternation bones disentangle in real time. Drew looked absolutely aching by the accusation. Her acclaimed emotiveness making it absurd for her to adumbrate her feelings. Meghan, I anticipate there's been a misunderstanding, Drew said, her voice wavering slightly. I would never try to exploit anyone's claimed struggles. That's not who I am, isn't it, though? Meghan attempted back. Isn't that absolutely what daytime television is? Accepting bodies to open up about their affliction so your viewers can feel bigger about their own lives. The words are frayed in the air like a slap. Drew Barrymore, admired by millions for her 18-carat amour and vulnerability, had aloof been accused of being exploitative on her own show. The hurt on her face was unmistakable. I think, Drew said quietly, we should booty a commercial break. But Meghan wasn't done. No, let's not booty a break. Let's address this appropriate now. You arrive me here beneath the pretense of announcement my work, but all you appetite to do is dig into my claimed activity like I'm some affectionate of curiosity. The ascendancy allowance was in chaos. The administrator was frantically signaling to cut to commercial, but the cameras kept rolling. This was television gold, alike if it was a complete disaster. That's not true, Drew said, her articulation stronger now. I ask personal questions because I accept in human connection. I allotment my own struggles because I anticipate it helps people feel beneath alone. How blue-blooded of you, Meghan said sarcastically. Saint Drew helping all the abandoned bodies by getting celebrities to cry on television. The cruelty in her articulation was shocking. This wasn't aloof or confounding anymore. This was Meghan advancing aggregate Drew stood for. Aggregate her show represented. Drew took her abysmal animation and when she batten again, her articulation was steady but cold. I anticipate you should leave. The words hit the flat like a thunderbolt. Drew Barrymore, the woman who had congenital her career on affection and vulnerability, had aloof told a bedfellow to leave her own show. But Meghan wasn't going anywhere. Excuse me, Meghan said, her articulation decrepit with indignation. You'll blame me off your actualization because I won't comedy forth with your little therapy session. Drew stood up from her chair, her easily abashed slightly. I'm asking you to leave because you're being cruel and disrespectful, not aloof to me, but to what this actualization represents. What this actualization represents. Meghan laughed bitterly, additionally ascent to her feet. This show represents absolutely what's wrong with American media. You array people's pain for ball and alarm it healing. The admirers was frozen, unsure whether to applaud, boo, or aloof sit in stunned silence. Some were filming with their phones admitting the no recording policy. This was activity to be all over social media oral minutes. That's enough, Drew said firmly. Security, please escort Ms. Markle from the building. But afore Aegis could move, Meghan captivated up her hand. Don't you dare amusement me like some common troublemaker. Do you accept any abstraction who you're talking to? Yes, Drew replied quietly. I'm talking to Addition who came on my actualization and chose to be awful instead of kind. And that's all I charge to know about who you are. The artlessness of the statement seemed to infuriate Meghan even more. Nasty. I'm cogent you the truth about your arrant architecture and you call me nasty. You attacked me personally. Drew attempted back, her voice rising for the aboriginal time. You questioned my candor and my motives when all I did was try to accept a conversation with you. A conversation? Meghan scoffed. You capital me to break down and cry about my struggles so your audience could feel superior. That's not conversation. That's manipulation. Drew's eyes abounding with tears, but her voice remained steady. I accept never ever tried to accomplish anyone feel bad on this show. I allotment my own affliction because I want people to apperceive they're not abandoned in theirs. How convenient. Meghan sneered. The host who cries gets to accomplish millions while assuming to affliction about other people's problems. The animality of the comment sent a blow through the studio audience. Several bodies absolutely stood up, accessible to leave. This had gone from uncomfortable to absolutely ugly. "Get out," Drew said, her articulation almost above a whisper, but accustomed added authority than if she had shouted. "Get out of my studio appropriate now. I'm not activity anywhere until I've said what I came actuality to say," Meghan declared, axis to address the cameras directly. "America needs to understand what affectionate of actuality you really are, Drew Barrymore." The cameraman looked aimlessly between their administrator and the two women on stage. Nobody knew whether to keep filming or cut the feed. "What affectionate of person am I?" Drew asked, wiping her eyes. "Please acquaint us all." "You're a fraud," Meghan said coldly. "You congenital your career on actuality damaged and vulnerable, and now you accomplish money by accepting other people to be damaged and accessible on television." "That's not true," Drew replied, her articulation breaking slightly. "I share my adventure because I appetite bodies to know that affliction doesn't accept to define you, that you can alleviate and abound and still be happy." "Spare me the inspirational speech," Meghan waved, her hand dismissively. "You're no different from any added allocution actualization host who feeds off added people's misery." The audience had heard enough. Addition in the back started booing and anon others joined in. Meghan angry to face them. Her expression one of complete disdain. "Oh, please." She addressed the crowd. "You're booing me for cogent the truth. This is exactly the affectionate of mob mentality that drives aggregate amiss with this country. Leave the admirers out of this." Drew said sharply. "They didn't do anything to you. They're allotment of the problem." Meghan attempt back, sitting there consuming added people's affliction like entertainment. "It's sick. You know what's sick?" Drew's articulation was stronger now, fueled by 18-carat anger, advancing on someone's actualization as their bedfellow and then attacking them and their admirers for no reason. No reason. Meghan angry aback to Drew, her eyes blazing. "You ambushed me with claimed questions aback. I specifically came actuality to advance my business. I asked you how you were doing in your new life," Drew said incredulously. "That's hardly an ambush. It's a setup," Meghan insisted. "You knew exactly what you were doing. Get me talking about the aristocratic family, about leaving England, about all the drama. Well, I'm not arena that game. Then why did you appear on the actualization at all?" Drew asked, 18-carat abashing in her voice. "If you abhorrence what I do so much, why exceed to be here?" Meghan paused for just a moment as if she hadn't expected that catechism. "Because I anticipation you might be different. I anticipation maybe you'd absolutely appetite to allocution about the work I'm doing, the absolute pulse I'm trying to make." "I didn't appetite to talk about that," Drew said desperately. "I asked you about your brand. I was interested in your work, but aback I tried to affix it to your personal journey. You attacked me." "Personal journey?" Meghan afresh mockingly. "There's that analysis allege again. Can't you aloof accept a accustomed conversation without aggravating to psychoanalyze everyone?" "I wasn't psychoanalyzing you," Drew protested. "I was aggravating to understand you as a person, not aloof as a caste representative." "Maybe I don't want to be accepted by you," Meghan said coldly. "Maybe I aloof appetite to be respected abundant to allocution about my work without accepting to buck my body for your entertainment." Drew stared at her for a long moment. And aback she spoke, her voice was quiet but firm. "Account is earned, Meghan, and appropriate now you're not earning it." The flat fell completely silent. Alike the aggregation seemed to have stopped moving. This was the moment when everyone able that Drew Barrymore, the abiding optimist who saw the best in everyone, had assuredly able her limit that Meghan's face ablaze red. "How dare you address me about account aback? You've been disrespecting me aback. I absolved out here." "I accustomed you warmly," Drew said, her articulation accepting strength. "I introduced you with 18-carat enthusiasm. I asked you thoughtful questions about your assignment and your life. And you repaid that by insulting me, my show, and my audience." "Thoughtful questions." Meghan laughed harshly. "You capital me to agony dump on national television and you alarm that thoughtful. I capital you to be human," Drew said simply. "But allegedly that's too abundant to ask. The allegation afraid in the air like poison." Drew's face went completely anemic, and for a moment she looked like she ability absolutely cry, but instead article confused in her expression. The aching was still there, but now it was alloyed with something else, article harder. Too abundant to ask, Drew afresh slowly. You apperceive what, Meghan? You're right. Apparently, asking you to be your appropriate animal actuality is too much to ask. The admirers erupted in applause, but Meghan wasn't finished. Decent animal being? You're calling me indecent because I won't participate in your affecting manipulation. I'm calling you blue because you came into my house and attacked me for aggravating to be kind to you. Drew attempt back, her voice stronger than anyone had heard it all day. You angry a simple account into a battlefield for no acumen except your own ego. My ego. Meghan's articulation able a new pitch. You're the one who can't handle actuality alleged out for what you really are. And what am I really? Drew asked, dispatch closer. Please tell everyone what I absolutely am. Meghan looked directly into the camera, her expression cold and calculated. You're a has-been child brilliant who never grew up, desperately adhering to appliance by making added people's affliction your content. The flat went to sleep silent. Alike the crew associates who had been aggravating to stay professional looked shocked. This wasn't just abrupt anymore. This was character assassination on a live television. Drew stood altogether still for a moment, and when she spoke, her articulation was eerily calm. Security, abolish her from my studio, now, but Meghan captivated up her hand again, abatement abroad from the approaching security guards. Don't blow me. I'm not some accepted criminal. No, Drew agreed quietly. Common abyss usually have better manners. The bake was so perfectly delivered that several audience associates absolutely gasped. Drew Barrymore, America's sweetheart, had just delivered an adverse comeback, and anybody could feel the about-face in the room. Meghan's face angry red with rage. You anticipate you're clever. You anticipate your little quips accomplish you bigger than me. I think my behavior today makes me better than you. Drew replied simply, I try to be kind, and you chose to be cruel. That's the aberration amid us. Kind? Meghan laughed bitterly. You call ambushing your guests with personal questions kind. I alarm alleviative my guests with amore and absorption kind. Drew countered. Article you clearly wouldn't understand. I understand perfectly. Meghan snapped. I understand that you're anxious of anyone who's actually able something meaningful with their life. The accusation was so abandoned that several admirers' associates started booing again. Drew captivated up her duke to quiet them, her announcement now completely composed. Meaningful, Drew asked quietly. Acquaint me, Meghan, what's meaningful about advancing on someone's show aloof to breach them down? I'm exposing the accuracy about your exploitative format, Meghan declared as if she was accomplishing some affectionate of public service. The abandoned affair you're exposing is your own character, Drew replied. And it's not a appealing sight. Meghan's eyes flashed dangerously. How cartel you judge my appearance aback you don't know anything about my life. I apperceive what I've seen today, Drew said firmly. I know that I arrive you actuality with account and enthusiasm, and you repaid that by being nasty and cruel. That tells me everything I charge to apperceive about your character. You don't apperceive what it's like to be consistently attacked by the media, Meghan said, her articulation demography on a self-pitying tone. You don't know what it's like to accept every chat you say askance and acclimated to join you. Actually, I do, Drew said quietly. I've been in this business aback I was 7 years old. I've been through addiction, divorce, ancestors' drama, all of it in the accessible eye. The aberration is I didn't let it accomplish me bitter. The comparison acutely hit a nerve. Meghan's composure absurd completely. Don't you dare analyze your little Hollywood problems to what I've been through. What you've been through, Drew's articulation rose. You affiliated into one of the most privileged families in the world, had a fairy account wedding, and again complained when it wasn't perfect. Meanwhile, you're continuing actuality advancing me for trying to affix with you as a human being. Privilege, Meghan shrieked. You have no abstraction what I sacrificed, what I gave up. I apperceive what you're giving up right now, Drew said coldly. Your dignity, your reputation, and any chance of actuality accustomed her back on this show. The finality in Drew's seemed to register with Meghan for the aboriginal time. She looked about the flat at the hostile audience, at the aggregation associates who were staring at her with apparent disgust, at the Aegis guards cat and mouse to escort her out. "Fine," she said, aggravating to regain some composure. "I don't need this. I don't charge to be actuality begging for approval from bodies who don't matter." "Then leave," Drew said simply. "Just leave." Meghan aggregate what was left of her address and started walking toward the exit. But she couldn't resist one final shot. "You'll affliction this, Drew. Aback the accuracy comes out about what absolutely happened actuality today, you'll regret alleviative me this way." Drew watched her go. And aback she spoke, her voice agitated to every bend of the studio. "The abandoned accuracy is what everyone just witnessed. You came actuality as my guest, and you chose to be cruel. That's your truth, Meghan. Own it." Meghan stopped at the flat avenue and angry aback one last time. "This isn't over." "Yes, it is," Drew replied firmly. "Security, please make abiding she leaves the building." As Meghan was assuredly escorted out, the studio admirers erupted in applause. Drew stood there for a moment, visibly shaken, but victorious. She had maintained her address while continuing up for herself and her show. Aback the applause died down, Drew looked directly into the camera, her acclaimed warmth returning to her articulation despite everything that had aloof happened. "Well," she said with a all-a-quiver laugh, "that wasn't exactly what we had planned for today's show." The admirers laughed, beholden for the moment of absurdity afterwards the intense confrontation they had aloof witnessed. "I want to apologize to anybody who came here assured or accustomed interview." Drew continued, "I never appetite my actualization to be a place area bodies feel attacked or uncomfortable, but I additionally won't let anyone appear into this amplitude and be cruel to me or to you." The admirers applauded again, this time with 18-carat affection for their host, who had aloof apparent them a ancillary of herself they'd never seen before. "I accept in kindness," Drew said, her articulation accepting stronger. "I believe in giving bodies the account of the doubt, but I additionally accept in standing up for what's appropriate and what happened actuality today wasn't right." She paused, attractive about at the faces in the audience, at her crew, at everyone who had aloof lived through this surreal experience with her. "Tomorrow we'll be back to our approved programming," she said with a smile. "But today, I achievement we all abstruse article about the importance of alleviative anniversary added with respect." The actualization concluded with Drew waving to her audience, bruised, but not broken by her appointment with entitled royalty. And as the credits rolled, everyone knew they had witnessed something that would be talked about for years to come. So, what do you think? Was Drew appropriate to bang Meghan off her show, or should she accept a proved harder to salvage the interview? Bead your thoughts in the comments beneath and don't forget to subscribe for added incredible celebrity belief that you won't believe until you hear.